Top of the morning to you. It's a beautiful day in March 2021. And today I want to go and visit Albufeira because before lockdown, I went out and shot some stuff at about early January. And so I've got some stock footage of Albufeira. So I'm going to tell you all about Albufeira using my standard Google Maps things. My name is Nick Robinson. I've been in the Algarve for 20 years and I love it. I really do. There are some amazing places in the Algarve and Albufeira was one of them. You know why? Because that's where all the tourism started. Back in the 70s, that's where everybody came down and flocked to Albufeira. But there's a thing. Some people love Albufeira and some people hate it. I'm going to show you why. Good morning. Clean my car. So cars are a really good topic of conversation here in Portugal because there's so much to buying and selling them, and there's taxes and stuff, and so I really want to get into that in another video. But today I'm just going to wash my car, and I want to show you how we wash our cars in Portugal. Well, that sucks. I just arrived here and it's closed. I mean, it's only 7:15, so I always thought this thing was open 24 hours a day. Anyway, what I'm talking about is a thing called an elephant azul, and there's millions of them or thousands of them all around the country. I'm not sure if it's a European thing, but you go in, and I'll show you now. You drive your car in, and elephant azul in English means blue elephant. And then you get a big spray, put some coins in, and high power. What's it? High pressure hose your car, clean it. And then there's always got sections over here that you can vacuum as well. Okay, so where exactly is Albufeira? Well, it's right in the center of the Algarve, and it's about 35 minutes or 45 kilometers from Faro International Airport. And yes, International Airport doesn't do direct flights from the USA, but it does do direct flights from all through Northern Europe. Albufeira is about 40 minutes from Lagos, which is about 60 kilometers drive, and an hour to the Spanish border and Villarreal Sant Antonio. So that's about 95 kilometers. So you get the gist of exactly where it is. It's well located, and the highway to Lisbon comes straight in just north of Albufeira, so it connects right in. So it's really quick, much faster to get to Lisbon from Albufeira than anywhere else in the Algarve. Okay, history of Albufeira. Now, just a brief summary. Albufeira's history dates way back before the Roman Empire, but the Romans named it Baltum. It had a very busy port and thrived with plenty of commerce and agriculture. Now, Roman influence is still very much visible, and as I discussed in the Backroads of the Algarve video, there's Roman bridges in Paderna, and you can walk along that hiking path. It's really cool, so you can actually see it itself. And also in Gia, just a little bit further to the east. Now, Albufeira, the town was under Arab occupation in the 8th century, where they named it Albufeira, or Albufeira, meaning castle by the sea. But don't be confused with the Castle on the Hill by Ed Sheeran, of course. Albufeira remained a stronghold of Arabian rule with intensive trade with North Africa. Albufeira was eventually conquered by the Portuguese forces of King Afonso III in 1249, and with the support of the Templar Knights, he routed the Moors and they fled to the Gruta de Chorinu. Now, this is a beautiful cave which still exists today, and I've paddled through there quite a few times, and there's a little beach there called Praia de Andorinhos, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you can go check that out today, and it's quite amazing to paddle in there and just think of all the Arabs and the Moors just hiding there, quivering, just about trying to get themselves out and get onto boats to get back to Morocco or wherever they came from. Now, the Christian rule, the Christian conquest, and the decline of trade led to Albufeira becoming a small fishing village. It was built on the cliffs above the beach, and as you can see today, and it was defended by a wall that ran the length of the town. The streets were narrow and all the houses whitewashed like they are still today, which you can go and see. It was a sleepy little village, and King Manuel came along and he granted the village the status of a town in 1504, which was awfully kind of him. This allowed administrative governments to pass civil laws relating to trade and supporting trade in the economy. So it grew a little bit, and it began to flourish once again, albeit with a consistent and constant piracy attacks from North Africa, which plagued the 16th century. And as I've referred to before, all the way along the Algarve, you can see certain fortifications, and these were to protect the locals from pirates. Arr, yarr. So in 1755, if you've been watching all my videos, you'll know that there was a devastating earthquake occurred in Portugal, and large portions of Albufeira were destroyed completely, and the resulting tsunami, which created a 10-meter high wave, reduced the town to only a handful of remaining buildings. I mean, it was a horrible thing to have happened, and we are on an earthquake area here, but luckily we haven't had many earthquakes since 1750, many big ones since 1755. Lots of little ones. Now, how's this? In 1833, a civil war broke out between absolutists and liberals, as New Age liberal ideas were adopted by the town. A guerrilla army of absolutists controlled the town for 4 years. I mean, who knew? That was amazing. I didn't know that. That's quite radical. There's every year on August the 15th, there's also a festival called the Festa em honra de Nossa Senhora Dourada, which is loosely or directly translated is Positivity in Honor of Our Lady Dourada Festival. Now, it's a festival that still appreciates and honors the fishing history that kept Albufeira sustained until tourism boomed in the 60s. And then in 1969, the airport was created in Faro, and that also contributed to the boom. So throughout the 70s and 80s and 90s, tourism went nuts, and Albufeira was the center. And to this day, still 40% of the tourism occurs in Albufeira. But I want to go to that festival on the 15th of August, where fishermen carry a statue of Lady Dourada on their boats all the way along the coast, whilst the town parties alongside on the shore. That sounds cool. All right, enough of the history of Albufeira. Let's move on. Things to do in Albufeira. Okay, so let's start. I just want to try and compartmentalize Albufeira and show you which areas are which. Okay, so we've got Albufeira down here on Google Maps, and starting in the west. Okay, so you can see Albufeira town center over there, and you come around here, and this is Galé. I'm calling this a part of Greater Albufeira, as it were. So Galé and Salgados, this is a great golf course over here. Salgados, and lots of hotels and everything, great developments, blah, 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 with a beautiful beach down here. Okay, now it's a lovely long beach. And this beach is just flat, no cliffs. And then you come along to the end of the beach here, Galé or Pedras Amarelas, is a really nice, over here is a really nice beach bar. And you go and sit and chill. There's actually quite 3 or 4 of them around here, and just sit and chill, watch the sunset, enjoy your life, and have lunch and stuff, and a bottle of wine, etc., some seafood. But then if you get on your paddleboard and you kayak or paddleboard all the way around here, it starts to get more and more rocky, and the little hidden beaches arrive in between after every single outcrop. And it's amazing. You get to Praia da Coelha, you get to Praia de Evaristo, where there's I think that's Praia de Evaristo down there, is it? Let's have a look and see. Yes, Restaurant Evaristo. And that's, top quality, really nice hidden away restaurant, and you can go and enjoy yourself over there. And there are these gorgeous little beaches stuck away behind these rocky outcrops. As I said, Praia da Coelha, where our actual current president originally came from, I think. Or no, a previous president, actually, yeah, previous president. And then you carry on, and then you get to Praia de São Rafael, which is probably one of the larger beaches in this area. And you carry on, and you get to a really small little beach called Praia do Jarifes, which is a lovely restaurant there called Restaurant A Sardinha. And you can sit there at a high tide. The water it feels like you're almost in the water, because the water comes right below the restaurant. So it's a pretty spectacular experience. And then if you carry on a little bit more, you get to Albufeira Marina, which is a fairly recent addition. It's about 10, 15 years old. And you'll see lots of multicolored houses and things like that. Right, and then that's where you get all these amazing boat tours. So you can be able to go and see lots of different places in the Algarve, and caves and coves on a boat that leaves from Albufeira Marina. All kinds of boats. And then we carry along down to the main drag of Albufeira. So this is basically the center of the town is over here. The old town is right over here. And there's a Rua dos Bares, which is basically a bar road, a road of bars, a street of bars, and it's lots of stuff happening inside there. But this beach here is called Praia dos Pescadores, because that was the most protected beach, and that's where the fishermen started fishing from, because it's the most protected from the storms. Carry along here is Praia dos Alemães, which means German beach. Then going on to Ora, okay, Praia de Ora. And then what do we get? Praia Santa Eulalia. There we go, Praia de Santa Eulalia. And then there's Praia Maria Luisa. And then over here is Olhos d'Água, which is also like, it's almost like another little village, but it's all still attached to Albufeira. And then we'll be starting to go out towards Praia de Falésia, which is this beautiful long beach that leads up to Vila Moura. So it goes all the way along here. So you see, it's quite a large stretch that I was describing around Albufeira, and there's lots of things to do, lots of really amazing beaches to get to. So while Albufeira has 30 kilometers of coastline and amazing beaches, a lot of those are blue flag beaches, which is great. They also have 3 golf courses. Pine Cliffs, which is the course that you can see now, are actually only 9 holes, but it's beautifully located right on the cliff tops. It's quite pricey though, apparently 50 euros for 9 holes and 60 euros to do it twice. Online reviews mention rude staff, which I really can't stand. So, that's just unacceptable. Balaya Golf, a little bit west, is 9 holes, and it's only a par 3, so it's a small little golf course, and that's also 50 euros with club hire, so that's also quite expensive. Salgados, off to the west of Albufeira, is a full 18 holes, and that costs from 55 euros and very reasonable drinks and food. Now, there's lots of water on this course, and it's quite tricky. I've tried it. Lots of lakes and lots of little rivers and things. It's quite an amazing course, very picturesque, but hard to play. Amendoeira Golf has great reviews, and that's a bit further northwest outside of Albufeira. It's a beautiful place to play, and it's also an especially amazing place to own a home. I might even actually do a video all about Amendoeira. I don't do so many videos. But they've got about 242 units, and 120 of those are sold, so there's still lots of scope in Amendoeira, so we'll definitely have to check that out. All right, well, so that's golf in and around Albufeira. Now, with all those stunning beaches that we talked about and 30 kilometers of coastline, there are tons of water sports to do. So my buddy Diogo Souza has a company called Super, and it stands for Stand Up Paddle Albufeira, but they're doing not just stand up paddle tours, they do kayaking tours, and they also do surf lessons. So let's start with surf. So just to the west of Albufeira, in a place called Galé, which I've mentioned, is a great surf spot. It really is. It's great to learn to surf, and in the winter, it's great for, intermediate surfers like myself. And I love going down there because you actually get a little bit more swell than you do down in Vila Moura and Faro. You can surf in Albufeira. Who knew that? Secondly, stand-up paddle tour is incredible. From Galé all the way around to Praia dos Jarifes, that bend of coast is absolutely spectacular. It was one of the first stand-up paddle experiences I ever had. And it really was mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And then you can take in all those restaurants on the way, so you can paddle along, have lunch in a restaurant, and then paddle back. It's spectacular. Kayaks as well. There's also all kinds of stuff to do, like coasteering. You can, on the beach, I think it was at Praia de Ouro one year, they had an inflatable water park in the middle of the ocean, which is great. So you pay a little bit to go out to it, and then you can jump around on trampolines and inflatable stuffs in the middle of the ocean, which is great fun. Obviously, all the beach concessions have jet skis, all the standard stuff. Jet skis, kayaks, pedalos, and they also have parasailing, which is one thing that I've been dying to try. So hopefully this summer I'll get to try it. And I've never tried it before. Parasailing is when you get behind a boat and you get lifted up by a parachute, basically. There are these things called flyboards these days, which are attached to a jet ski and then with hoses, and then they push out water below your feet. So you stand on this column of water really high in the sky. It's quite fascinating, so you should give that a whirl. But there's all kinds of new things coming on with e-foils. I tried that the other day. And my mate Jay actually runs all around the Algarve, not just in Albufeira, but you can try that as well. So there's tons of interesting things to try. So definitely get out into the water and engage with all those beach concessions. You can find out more information at the beach that you go to. Well, good morning. It's another day, and other things to do in Albufeira are, walking along the cliffs, walking along the beaches. You walk anywhere, it's beautiful. You're exploring, you're finding out, it's lovely. If you want to go a little bit further back into the hills, you might want to drive up into the hills and then get some really nice hikes. But down on the cliffs, you can walk there, because there's a law in Portugal that states that you can only build a house 200 meters away from the cliffs, because these cliffs are receding every single year, and obviously they don't want your house to fall off. So that's traditionally been the law. There are some exceptions where with really houses being built a long time ago, and they're probably right on the cliff and decaying, but generally there's a space there where you can walk across the cliffs, and all beaches are public. There are no private beaches in Portugal, just so you know. So what else is there to do in Albufeira? But obviously there's tons of bars and restaurants and discos and clubs and stuff. So there's a big night scene there in summer. Lots of DJs come in, clubs, there's about 4 or 5 clubs. There's bars, restaurants, like right on the beach, right off the beach in the back. It's just, there's a lot going on in Albufeira in summer, and it's amazing. Lots of events, everything's happening in Albufeira in summer. So you can really divide the nightlife sections into 2 basic areas. Down here in the center of Albufeira is a thing which we call the Rua dos Bares, which is the road of bars. Okay, and it's just basically behind here. It starts in this square, and it comes down here all the way. And you can see there are tons of bars and stuff, and it's really nice, and it's pretty laid back, and there's actually a lot of family life that happens around there, so it's not too hectic. However, when you just go over a little bit further to the east, near Praia da Ora, there's what's called Wild & Co. This long road, from the main road all the way down to the beach road. Okay. And this thing is just full of bars and clubs, and this is where it gets gnarly. I mean, there's people coming there on, stag nights, hen nights, whatever, just golfers on tour, and lots of kids and football people and hooligans, and it's just crazy down here in the middle of summer. Lots of crazy stuff goes down. So don't take your kids there, okay? So you will not be bored in Albufeira in summer. But, why would anybody not want to live in a place like this? Well, I'll get to that in a bit. Okay, now let's get into the sort of living in Albufeira part. What does it feel like if you live there? Well, there's shopping. We'll go through shopping right now, and then I'll go through a little bit about schools and a little bit about the medical issues and medical facilities and hospitals, etc. And then we'll talk about real estate. Okay. Well, if you want to shop in Albufeira, you're not going to have a problem, because there's all the favorites. So if you look at Continent, there's Continent right on the main drag in Albufeira, as you can see, and there's probably a lot of other shops around there. Just over the road there's Pingadoce, and there's about 3 Pingadoses all the way around Albufeira. Just a little bit to the west, there's an Aldi and a Lidl on opposite sides of the road, and then there's Intermarchés. There's about 4 Intermarchés all over Albufeira. One right down near the marina over here, and then you can go over to the Intermarché in Montechoro, which is further over to the east, and then a little bit further south there's another Intermarché in Santa Eulalia. Hopefully you're not getting a bit dizzy with all this sort of driving around Google Earth. But the most interesting thing about shops, I think, for many people, is that over here, northwest of Albufeira, is the first shopping center that was built in the Algarve back in the year 2000 when I first arrived. I remember we went to the opening, and it's called Algarve Shopping, and it's sort of half open air. It's really cool in summer. It's lovely, and cinemas, etc. There's all kinds of other shops around it, like there's an industrial area. So over here there's Leroy Merlin and Macro and all these big sort of retail stores. So go there and you can shop till you drop. Schools in Albufeira. So there are 5 public schools in Albufeira, and belonging to the Grupamento de Escolas de Albufeira, which is so they're all scattered in and around Albufeira, which goes from EB1, 2 and 3. And if you've seen my video on public schooling and government schooling in Portugal, you'll understand what that means. So please go check it out if you don't know. International schools, there's an Eden Montessori school in Albufeira, but that's only from ages 3 to 9. 25 minutes away in Lagoa or Porches is the Nobel Lagoa School. Okay, that's one of the biggest schools. I think there's about 850 students in Nobel, and they've also got one in Armancil, but it's one of the best and largest schools around. Also rated one of the highest schools around in the region is the CIV, which is the Colégio Internacional de Vila Moura, which is only about 15 minutes away, a little bit more than 15 minutes away from Albufeira. So you've got some access to schools nearby. Medical facilities in the Albufeira area. So now just up here in the north is Hospital Luciadas de Albufeira, and that's near Montechoro, and that's quite far away from the water, as you can see. But that is a part of a national chain of hospitals, and it's really good. And they've got one in Faro as well. So that'll be the main hospital that you'll go to. There'll also be a Centro de Saúde. And around here in Albufeira, there's lots of little clinics and stuff where you can go to doctors, and you can get wheelchair rental, and you can get COVID tests and blood tests, etc., 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 and also the normal doctor stuff. The interesting thing right down here is an international health center. Okay, now this international health center is well situated right on the strip. So if you go out and party too hard, well, then you've got to go. Then you can go and get fixed up at the international health center. So, but hey, guys, don't party too hard, please. Okay, there's lots of vets and things around as well in Albufeira, so you'll be okay with all these clinics in and around Albufeira. Prices of property in Albufeira vary immensely, obviously, because there's so many different variables. But one way of having a look is to jump on the website that I often suggest to you guys and say, go to idealista.pt/en/ if you don't speak Portuguese. And it's quite amazing what you do. I just did a quick search for Albufeira, and you find 3,333 homes for sale. And they're divided into these groups of areas, which is great. So this is Praia dos Pescadores. This is sort of central Albufeira. There's Olhos d'Água. And then this is sort of the marina around there, but it's all divided into it. And you can also look at new housing developments. So there's 16 housing developments in Albufeira if you prefer to live like that. So we're back on the main screen here, and we want to see all 3,333 homes. Now, obviously, if you're looking for, I don't know, an apartment, new homes. Okay, so go new homes, minimum size, flats and apartments. That'll do that. Prices T1, T2, so I want a T2 because I got a daughter and my wife and I, and then it'll just show you exactly what you want. You can organize them by oh wow, some of them got videos as well, which is great. So obviously you know how to work these things. It's just interesting to see what kind of apartments there are. 290,000 for a T2, which is interesting. And then 280,000 with a T2, 295,000 for a T3, 157 square meters. Look at this one with the pool, 240,000 for a T2 in Olhos d'Água. So they're quite pricey, these flats. And obviously in Albufeira you'll get great resale value, because what everybody does here in the Algarve, if you hadn't noticed already in your property search, is that they will buy a place and rent it out in the summer for really good amounts. Well, it's good if you're the owner, not if you're the renter. But but also what you can do is you can buy a report on the place that you're looking at. Then this is all in Portuguese, unfortunately, so it's an estimation of the price of the piece of the property. So if you go down here, that'll describe the property, show you exactly where it is with an aerial view, etc., etc., and then they will say that the minimum estimated price should be this, and the maximum estimated price should be that. And then they'll do an evolution of the price over time. This is from 2016 all the way to 2019. And then they'll make a reference of about how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 properties around, and see exactly similar properties, the same size, the same whatever. And they will make an assumption based on that, and then they'll work out how much you could rent that out for, what's the minimum estimated, maximum estimated, and evolution of that price as well. And then they'll just show you other houses in the area, what they're going for, what they're not, so you can get an idea of whether this one is above or below average. So it's really quite helpful. They also give you a listing of the points of interest around where this property is. So for example, schools, restaurants, parks and things, commercials or stores and shops, and then there's banks, and then local transport, which is close by. So Airbus to the airport, and Marquês de Pombal metro, etc., etc. So then they explain their methodology and how they worked it out. So it's quite useful, that. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview on properties in Albufeira. I just want to say one thing about real estate, because if you are looking for a property in the Algarve to relocate, just get in touch with me. Drop your email into algarveaddicts.com. There's a big subscribe button right there, and you can put your email into my list, and just reply to what the first email that you get and send it. It'll come straight to me, and just tell me what kind of property you're looking for, because it's quite crazy. And I see on these Facebook groups, and I've also on my Facebook group as well, some people will say, hi, I'm looking for a property, and then boom, within an hour you got 57 things saying pick me, all real estate agents saying please, 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 and you have no idea who to choose from. So I mean, I've been here 20 years. I know a lot of real estate agents. I'm speaking to them all the time these days, more and more, because you guys are looking for properties. I'm trying to find them for you as well. And full disclosure, I will get a referral fee, but that doesn't inflate your price as well. It's all built into the commission. And I just really want to help you. I really do, because it's hard here. I mean, there are some real estate agents are dodgy and others are fantastic. And it's a bit difficult down here, especially when you're in a foreign country and you don't know exactly what's going on. So I really am looking after you, and I'm trying to find the best real estate agent for you possibly. So I'm working with Sandy and Chris for a while, but there are other people that we're working with in case you have different requirements. So let me know, and I'll sort you out. Thanks again for watching. I hope you learned a lot about Albufeira. It's an awesome place, but there is one more thing.
Wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. I forgot. There is one more thing. There is one more little thing.
Okay, this is the thing that I've been alluding to the whole video. Now, Albufeira is an amazing place. I mean, obviously it's an amazing place. That's why the tourism flock down there. But there's one drawback to living in Albufeira, and that's that it's a party place, and it's just party. Lots of kind of, I don't know how to say this without sounding awfully snobbish, but lots of people sort of go down there for cheap holidays, and they get drunk and they vomit in the streets and they just party, and they what do people do when they have a party? They create mischief. And occasionally in the past there have been a few football sort of punch-ups and things like that, and it's only localized down on the strip and the surrounds around there. But that's one thing that you need to be aware of. I'm not trying to paint you a pretty picture of the Algarve and say, oh, everything's awesome, everything's wonderful. Just saying, be aware of these places. It is a beautiful spot. But there are areas in the middle of summer when things can get a little bit out of hand down in Albufeira. So if you love Albufeira, you're going to jump into the comments and just lambaste me. But I want you guys to be aware. I really do. And it's a lovely place, but it comes with a little caveat. All right, I hope you learned a lot about Albufeira. And if you do choose to live there, I hope you enjoy it. See you in the next video.